my name's Maria Colon. I'm a hairstylist here in South Carolina, originally from upstate New York, and I'm here today to interview some awesome girl I met named Tiffany. And it's really cool how we met, actually. I've felt really called these past few years to try to aid in the fight against human trafficking. And so recently I went on a radio program and spoke about it, and I went Facebook Live. And a girl that I met who was a cashier at a grocery store I frequented, that's how I know her. I did her hair maybe a couple times, so she moved away. She happened to see the live and put me in touch with Tiffany, who has a great story to tell. So she told me the whole thing, but we're going to go through and kind of talk about it so you guys can hear it and hear the encouragement and really kind of understand what we can do as a society to try to take on these challenges that involve human trafficking. So I'll let Tiffany introduce herself.
Hi everybody, my name is Tiffany Knowlton. I am originally from the state of Connecticut, however I reside now in Charleston, South Carolina. I am actually a survivor of human trafficking, and it's something that I'm very passionate about in regards to bringing awareness to anybody who's willing to listen. I love educating people on what to look out for, and my end goal is to really save a life, whether it be spiritually or physically. I have come a long way since my ordeal, and I'm very proud of myself, and I would love to be here to help you bring as much awareness and light to the situation, because I feel it needs to be brought.
Absolutely. Super divine appointment that we met. Pretty
A
awesome.
lot of divinity is going to happen here today.
Yes, all the divine appointments. I've actually been doing it's like I don't know if you would call it what's that called? Devotional. But it's like 30 days of divine appointments. So every morning I've been looking for those divine appointments. I knew today was going to be chock full of them. So I guess we should just kind of go right in and talk about your story.
Okay.
So as you said, you're from Connecticut.
Yes.
And so you experienced, an incident of human trafficking. So where did this incident take place for you? I know that you had talked to me about it, but let's let everyone know kind of like how you got into this situation and kind of just a simple weekend plan that kind of just went crazy.
Turn into, yeah. So I was actually invited by a friend and his mother to come visit for a weekend, and to New York City, to the Bronx, actually. And I was very excited to go, high spirits. I was like, I'm going to have so much fun. She, makes the best rice and beans, and I was, salivating the whole trip there for her cooking.
Yeah.
So.
And I know, didn't you mention you were supposed to go with a friend who couldn't go at last minute? You still decided to go.
Yes,
anyway.
Yes. One of my best friends was supposed to accompany me. However, she couldn't get time off of work. And so me being maybe the not so greatest of friends at the time, went ahead by myself.
Yeah, because there's rice and beans.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't. There's nothing that compares to her rice and beans. So, because she was on point with that.
Yeah.
So it was my friend and one of my other friends who met me at the bus station, and the three of us took the train to his house, saw his mom, his neighbor that lived down the hall from him came over. We were just having a good time, and then some random girl just popped up out of nowhere, and
so this is a girl you had never seen before.
I didn't know who she was. I didn't know what she was about. But me being the friendly person that I am, I'm not, quick to turn somebody away because I don't know them.
Yeah.
I give them a chance. And if they give off, fun, happy, haha vibes, they make me laugh, that's it. I'm stuck like glue.
Yeah.
Well,
and I guess we should mention, so you were 19 at this time.
Yes, I was 19. I don't want to give my age away now, but it was 20 years ago. And I know I look really good, don't I?
Okay. You're taken, though.
So I was 19, and the girl happened to be 17. Mom hadn't finished cooking yet, and so her son, my friend, was like, hey, let's go down and just get like a slice of pizza until the food's ready or whatever. Because I was starving, didn't eat the whole way. So we're down on the street corner. And if anybody's familiar with the streets of New York, they're very busy. A lot of people walking around. The train is overhead. So we're like, well, let's go for a walk. Let's go to like a diner and just get something light and then come back. And in the process of doing so, his friend wanted to get to know my friend. So he was playing matchmaker. Meanwhile, me and the new girl, I'll call her, I don't want to give out her real name, even though I don't even know if that was her real name. But I'll say her name was Jaleesa or something like that. Julie. We'll call her Julie. So me and her were walking ahead to this diner. She's, oh, you're so cool, you know, like, why haven't I ever met you before? And, you know, really starting to, like, have a real good conversation flowing, you know?
I mean, y'all are girls. We stick together, right? Usually you trust girls, especially a young girl.
I guess she was really, like, interested in him. And she's like, so what do you know about him that, you know, maybe I don't know? And I'm, like, trying to play matchmaker with him and her. He's trying to make matchmaker with my friend and his neighbor. So it's like, it was all love and the, you know. So on our way to the movies, it was me and her, again, walking ahead of them. And
so she kind of pulled you away a little bit from the group.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and the way she did it was very nonchalant, very, like, then again, I was very naive at the time, so she was like, hey, let's beat them to the movie theater. We can go this way. I know a shortcut. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't know my way around the Bronx. You clearly do.
Yeah.
So why not, you know, let her lead the way?
Yeah.
So, I'm starting to realize after a while, we're taking this street and we're going down that street. We're kind of like steering off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Per se. Like, there's no, it's not like a main strip that looks like a movie theater.
Yeah. Well, and I know you had said too, or didn't she mention, like, hey, why don't we ditch the movies and, like, go to a party?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like, that's way more fun. Let's go to a party.
Yeah. When we got, I think when she felt we got farther enough away from the group, that's when she brought that up.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, well, you know, let's go to a party. I know this party. You know, do you want to go to the movies, or do you want to just, like, have fun? And I was like, I mean, yeah, whatever, you know, I was with it.
Yeah.
In hindsight, maybe not the brightest decision, but hey,
But
you
again,
live and you learn,
it's
you
a
know?
girl. It's not
Yeah.
some guy
And by the way,
taking
she
you
was
off, you know?
17.
Yeah.
So I was
you're
like,
older than her.
yeah, I was like, she, you know, she'll respect her elder. But I was like, you know, she does know her way around. She wouldn't steer me, you know, wrong if all I have to say is I want to go back to, you know, my friend's house. I'm sure his mom is, you know, worried about me, and she would take me. So I thought.
Yeah. And what did you have with you at this time? You had, like, a backpack, right?
Yeah, I had my backpack, and it just, like, it kind of, like, went over my shoulder, so it wasn't, like, bulky like that. I only had, like, an outfit or two in there. And
Cell phone and...
yeah, like, this is, like, when cell phones first became flip phones.
Yeah.
And you had to pull the antenna out. Like, it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, the newly graduated form of communication after the beeper. Okay. So, with that, there were still payphones, which is what we'll get to later.
It's, like, my favorite part of the story.
So, as we're walking down this street, I could hear music playing from, like, a boombox. And I was like, so this is a street party, a block party? Like, what kind of party is this girl referring to? So as we're walking to this group of guys that are sitting on a bench just hanging out, she got, like, kind of real serious out of the blue. And she's like, keep your head down and call me mommy, and I'm going to call you. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay. She's like, I'm going to call you bitch. And I was like, no, you're not.
Right?
You're not calling me bitch. And I'm not calling you mommy. That's weird.
Yeah. And I know, too, like, I remember you saying on the way as you're walking, it seemed like she knew everybody.
Yeah.
Like, in the Bronx. Like, everybody knew this girl.
Yeah. And when we got up to the group of guys, the like, you could tell there was like a leader of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And he got up. He's like telling her, "Hey, Ma, what's up? Where have you been? How are you?" Like, I'm thinking, like, where have you been? Oh, maybe she's got a job or something. Again, the naive mindset. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So she was like, "Oh, this is my." I was like, "Hi, I'm Tiffany."
Yeah, before she could say.
Yeah, because I wasn't gonna let her control the introduction by telling him who I am
Mm-hmm.
when I could blatantly do that myself, clearly.
Yeah.
Well, back then, I did smoke weed from time to time. It wasn't like the biggest thing I did.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the guys was like, "Hey, do you smoke?" And I was like, "Yeah, a little bit." He's like, "You want to smoke with us?" And I was like, "Sure, I guess." Plus, I didn't want to look like, like the square.
You're trying to be cool.
Yeah. I definitely wanted to fit in. I didn't want to be looked at like, oh, she's stuck up. Because usually that's how they would look at somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So, not realizing that angel dust was a big thing back then and that they leased stuff like that all the time, I made the mistake of smoking with them and basically getting high off of angel dust.
So how did you realize that it was angel dust? Like, is that something you'd experienced before, or?
I never experienced it before. I didn't know what was happening. I could remember hearing things. My body, like my whole body just was like limp. Mm-hmm. And I remember being on the bench and my head was like hanging. Mm-hmm. And like I could hear 3 guys, maybe 4. And they were like, "Yeah, let's take her to the apartment. Or let's take her to the building." That's what they said. "Let's take her to the building." Mm-hmm. And I could feel one arm go up and another arm go up. Mm-hmm. And I was literally like, my feet were dragging.
Yeah.
Like they were literally dragging me to this building. And I had already been a victim of rape twice as a teenager prior to that. Yeah, and I refused to let that happen a third time.
Yeah.
So I guess at that moment, and this is where like the divine intervention starts for me, because I don't understand how I could have been aware of what they were trying to do if I was under the influence of something like that.
Well, one guy had said to the other something about like, why is she like?
Yeah, when I got to the building, they put me underneath a stairwell. And they were literally going to take my pants down. But I stood up against they had me up against the wall. Mm-hmm. And I slid down on my butt and sat Indian style so that they wouldn't be able to pull my pants down. And I just started rocking back and forth. And it's crazy because when I feel comforted, I tend to do that. And I feel like it's Jesus like comforting me, like rocking me.
Yeah.
So back then I didn't think about it. But now I do.
Yeah.
So I started like talking crazy. Mm-hmm. And that's when they were like, "Yo, what's up with this girl? Why is she talking like that? Yo, what did you give her?" And one of the guy who rolled the blunt was like laughing. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Oh, I just dusted her." And then it was like, "Yo, why would you do that?"
Yeah. So that's when you realized angel dust.
Yeah,
that you were drugged with something other than what you thought that you were taking.
Right. And so all of a sudden I hear popping sounds coming from outside, and they ran out. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what they were. Mm-hmm. I know now that they were gunshots somewhere on their block. So I took the opportunity when they weren't there around me to get up and make my way out of the building. Mm-hmm. But I had to literally hold on to the wall because my legs were so weak. Yeah. So when I finally got to the steps, again, another divine intervention, this kid was coming up the street and saw me struggling to get down the steps. And he was like, "Oh my God, do you need help?" And I was like, "I don't know where I am." All I kept saying was, "I don't know where I am." And I really didn't know where I was. I knew I was in the Bronx, but I didn't know where in the Bronx.
Yeah. And so to an outsider, it's like, oh, this girl's just on drugs. Like, obviously nobody knows what's happened. They just see you stumbling around and assume you're probably under the influence of something, which happens all the time. We walk by people all the time that are just, oh, they must have just had too much to drink, or whatever it might be.
Or maybe they got a bad batch.
Yeah.
Or something like that, And lucky for me, this kid was he's like, no, you can't be out here like this. If the police see you like this, then you're going to get arrested. And he's like, listen, my sister lives like the next building over. You can just, stay there, sober up there. Because clearly he was putting two and two together. I said, yeah, take me. I don't want to I don't know where I am and I'm scared.
Yeah.
In so many words is what I said. And so as he was helping me down the steps to walk to his sister's building, the guys came back. And they're like, yo, she's with us. And he told them, he's like, yeah, but you guys, you can't leave her out here like that. The police will take her in. And they're like, nah, her homegirl's in the cab down the street.
Okay, so that's where the girl ended up, because I wondered when you were first telling me this story, like, there's just these guys, and then that girl's just gone.
Yeah, her and the ringleader guy, they vanished. Okay. Like, after I smoked, and I kind of, fell out under the influence of whatever it was, I don't remember hearing her voice, seeing her, knowing she was there in my presence at all.
Yeah.
It was like she just dipped out. And what she was trying to do was she was trying to get the guys to have sex with me for payment that went into her pocket, and then claim, oh, where were you? Because that's how she was in the car when I got to the cab.
So you did end up going with the guys instead of going into the apartment with the guy that found you.
Right. So, because I was like, she's the only one that knows where my friend lives. Yeah. She's the only one that can get me back there. So, I don't trust these guys. They've already, they've shown me what they were trying to do in so many words or whatever. So I was like, let me just go with what I know.
Yeah.
So I got in the cab with her, and then on our way to this house, she was like, oh, don't say anything about, my friend's name is Eddie. So she's like, don't say anything about Eddie, because we're going to my boyfriend's house.
So when you got in the cab, did you, before she started saying all that, did you confront her, hey, why did you leave me there? Who are those
I was
guys?
pissed. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the drugs, that I was coming down from the drugs and the aggravation and the annoyance of what the hell did you just do? Because she tried to grab my cell phone out of my hand. It was dead.
Yeah.
She didn't know it, though. But I smacked it out of her hand. I was like, don't touch my shit.
I would too.
And I was like, now take me back to Eddie's house. She's like, well, I can't. I don't have the extra money. And I'm trying to figure out, how did she get the money for the cab?
Yeah.
Did this guy give her money thinking that his friends got what they, were they all working together?
Yeah. And would she have called a cab and waited for you at that point? Because... had those gunshots not gone off,
Yeah, exactly.
Where would she have gone?
And that's what she was like, oh my God, I was so scared. I didn't know what happened. He just put me in a cab to get me out of there because some guys, I don't know. She had some crazy story, but I wasn't trying to hear it because by now it's 2:30 in the morning. I still haven't eaten anything yet.
Yeah.
I traveled 4 hours on a bus that had to stop at every town on the way. It wasn't an express.
Yeah.
So I was hungry. I was tired. I'd just gone through this craziness that I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And we ended up at this house, and I remember I fell asleep on somebody's couch. She woke me up at 7 in the morning. It was really early. It was the sun was coming up. And she's like, we gotta go. And I was like, go where? She's like, we gotta leave. And I was like, okay. Take me back to Eddie's house. It's like, no, we will. I will. I promise I will. I gotta get something. I have to go home first.
Yeah.
So this girl had me walk from the Bronx to Washington Heights. I don't know where we were in the Bronx, but I know We walked 52 blocks
Oh my God.
to get to her house.
So about how long did it take you to
We
walk
left
up
at like
there?
7 in the morning. We didn't get to her house till like 1 in the afternoon.
On no food.
No
after being
food.
drugged and
It was in
barely
the
any
middle of
sleep.
August. It was hot, humid, up hills, down hills. I remember when we were walking down Fordham Road, it was like every storefront. That's where you had mentioned she knew every guy and every guy knew her. And I was like, damn, this girl's popular.
Right? 17 years old, knows everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. This girl was beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. And I was just like, maybe, her dad or, somebody owns a business and it's like a lot of distribution at these stores with her father or something. I kept trying to come up with a logical explanation as to how she knew everyone.
Yeah.
Because once again, the naive kicks in because I didn't know what it really was until after the fact. So when we got to her house, we were both like, we were sweating. It was profuse sweating. It was bad.
Yeah.
I was like, I need a shower at this point. I was like, look, let me take a shower first and then you can take me to
Yeah.
house.
Something.
So she's like, okay, well, we got to go see my dad so I can get some money for the bus so I could take you to Eddie's house. Okay, now you're talking my language.
Yeah. Like,
Now you're
we got a destination
Right,
where I want to
right.
go. No
Look,
more craziness.
right. We're good now. We can just move on straight on through. So we go and meet her dad. Her dad gives her just enough money to get on the bus for the both of us and to grab something small to eat.
Yeah. Because I think you said he wasn't too nice to her.
Yeah, no, he's like, damn well I don't got the money and da-da-da. And I was just like, wow, okay. So after she got the money from him, before we even got on the bus, she's like, oh, let's go see my daddy. And in my mind, I was like, we just saw your dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, I stopped for a minute. I was like, maybe she's talking about like a godfather,
Right.
an uncle,
Somebody.
grandfather, stepfather. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So we get on the bus. We get off the bus. As we're walking past a bodega. Now, a lot of viewers might not know what a bodega is, but it's basically a corner store. Like a corner supermarket in the city. So as we're walking, I happen to see this payphone. And it was broken in half, and the headpiece and the mouthpiece was basically just hanging on by wires. So,
And y'all should know this is like
this is
the divine
yes,
appointment. Basically, the first
Yes.
divine appointment of the story, and basically the reason you'll see why we're having this conversation.
Yes.
Essentially, why you're here.
right.
So we love the payphone, the broken payphone.
As we're walking by the phone, I noticed the phone was broken, and I just kept moving. I made a mental note of it. I don't know why it had stuck out to me so profoundly at that moment, but I remember I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Probably too, because I mean, how does a payphone
That-
end up
yeah.
snapped in half?
Yeah, I was like, how could somebody do that? Is there like a...
Were they like super pissed?
Right.
Just right over the knee.
I hope it didn't go over somebody's head, Lord, please. So, as we're walking down the street, I notice I can remember, and this is part of my trauma, so it helps me to tell my story when I get detailed about this specific part.
Yeah.
I remember walking down the street, and it was a row of houses on the left side where it was garages on the street level with stairs along the side of the garage, and the house sat on top with a porch on top of the garage. And there was about maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 houses on the street. Across the street was a hill. It looked like an emptied lot, like they had just torn down a building. And the only house on that street had at least maybe 6 or 7 men, grown men, standing outside on the porch.
And I remember you saying to me, you were like, Lord, please don't let that be the house
Yeah.
we're going to. Like,
Yeah.
you just had this gut feeling that you were hoping that was not where you were going.
Yeah, and her attitude was just like gung-ho, like do, like skipping down the road, like I'm going to see my daddy, and I'm like, but when she stopped in front of the house and one of the guys addressed her as, "Oh, what do you want, ho?" I kind of like was jolted because I was like, wait a minute, am I dreaming this right now?
Yeah.
Like, she just said we're going to see her daddy,
Right.
but this man just called her out of her name, and what's going on?
Yeah.
It still did not click.
Yeah.
It did not make sense to me.
Yeah.
What was going on? And so, she was like, "Oh, where's my daddy?" And I remember it's like, hold on. He turns around, and this little short Puerto Rican dude with big gold chains on his neck and big rings on every finger of his hand comes to the front of the porch, and he's like, "What you want, bitch?" to her. And I was like, wait, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then when the next thing that she said put me in a different state of mind, where it felt like I was just the vessel. I didn't have to think about what to say to get out of the situation. God spoke with my voice to get me out.
Yeah.
So he was like, she said, "Oh, hey daddy, look, I brought us a new hoe," referring to me. And I was like, I looked around, I'm looking at my shadow, like, I know this bitch ain't talking about me.
I know this 17-year-old girl.
Like, and it still didn't click to me as to why, the night prior, I didn't understand the culture of prostitution in New York.
Yeah.
So, and like a cartoon character, you could see the dollar signs floating in his eyes. So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I'm scared now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, this is not a joke. This is like, what do I do? So he had us go downstairs to the basement, where I guess it was like they call it the bottom bitch, which is usually the one who is the oldest or the one that's more or most loyal to him, that kind of thing. And she had cooked. Because I hadn't eaten, I didn't care what it was. I ate it.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever saw somebody smoke crack. So that was off to me, because I was never raised around that stuff, And I felt bad for her. I remember I felt bad for her because she looked so old.
Yeah.
But you could tell she really wasn't that old.
Yeah.
So the empathy starts kicking in. And my mind is off of what just transpired outside, because I'm like, I'm talking to her and like, how long have you been here? Stuff like that. And then he comes downstairs like, let's go. And it kind of like ripped me out of like some form of normalcy at the time. So I was like, okay, let's go. I guess I gotta go, because if I don't go, I don't know what's gonna happen if I don't oblige to his demands.
Yeah.
So he takes us to a schoolhouse, and there's like steps, and
was the girl with you, the young
girl? Oh yeah, no, she was in tow, not far behind. And it was like she was super, like, she felt like she was proud of herself, like she did a good deed.
Yeah. And
she was gonna get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
That was the vibe that I got off of her.
And I would imagine either rewarded or on the other end, maybe she knew, okay, for one night, maybe I won't get whatever's coming to me, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Or, maybe she could take over my street.
Yeah.
Or something like that,
There has to be something in it for her, because, and a lot of people don't realize that women can traffic people, and they can be used as pawns, and, stuff can be held over their head, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I'm sure he was probably giving her everything she had, and she knew like when she was going to eat and all that stuff, because clearly her regular dad, it didn't seem like he wanted to.
Either that, or because she didn't have any money to give him. And I'm wondering if I was the monetary makeup that she didn't have to give him, because she was gone for 24 hours?
Yeah. So she brought a girl.
Yeah, so maybe that'll kind of like take over for the lack of money that I don't bring.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about that until
didn't
just
either.
now. See how when you talk
Yeah,
more about it,
yeah.
just more things come.
That's why I was like, I want to be able to bounce off each other because I knew that we could kind of come
Yeah.
to some more
Yeah.
realizations and stuff.
So he basically asked me what my last name was, which I lied.
Mm-hmm.
He asked me how old I was. She chimed in and answered for me, which pissed him off.
Mm-hmm.
He asked me what part of Connecticut I was from. Lied about that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Street smarts.
And that's the thing. I'm not from the streets, so how would I know to lie about that? It was just common sense
Yeah.
to me, you
Yeah.
know? And I was like, if he knew where I lived or he knew my name, he could definitely look or find me. But then again, at the time, I wasn't thinking. I seriously do not remember my mouth moving to answer these questions.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that what was said was enough for him to have some form of trust in me.
Yeah. Because I know you said you kind of just went along with everything he said.
I played the part.
Yeah.
Like I should have gotten an Emmy award or something because I made it sound like I was super like intrigued and excited to be put out on the streets or something. You know, the way I answered "Yes, Daddy" was like very, you know, like yes, you're my daddy. Like I'm taking this role serious.
Yeah.
But deep down, it killed me.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this isn't who I am.
Yeah.
And I remember him giving me the, like, telling me about Hunts Point and the difference between being in Hunts Point and being downtown. What sticks out the most is when he said, when you're downtown, you don't walk the sidewalk. You walk the street because the sidewalk is meant for people with money and you're just some gutter bitch. Mm-hmm. You don't deserve to walk on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm. And I know he explained to you some of like the rules, which was kind of interesting to me when you were telling me because I didn't really know this, but like how just you glancing at the wrong person in the eyes, if it's another pimp, that they can take you kind of.
Yeah,
or...
I guess it's like some kind of form of ownership because think about like drug dealers, they have their blocks. What he meant by that was like, say a drug dealer, they have their own corners, you know, territories. Mm-hmm. Basically, I was territory. Mm-hmm. So if I were to make eye contact with another pimp, and there's plenty of them out there. Yeah. There isn't just one with a group of girls. There's numerous pimps out there. He basically said if I make eye contact, that's basically allowing that pimp to talk to me, allowing that pimp to approach me and possibly take me from my pimp, which and then leads me to get my ass beat.
Yeah. And your original pimp would have to pay the new one, right? Or something like that.
I can't. Don't quote me because I'm not sure if that's what he meant by it.
Yeah.
But he felt like it was more like he was losing money.
Yeah. Somehow he was losing money, and it's not even your fault at that point because you literally just happened to look.
It's human nature to look at somebody when they call at you, you know, or to pay attention to your surroundings at all times. Exactly. So that's why when the girl was like, "Keep your head down," she got that from him because that's exactly what he told me. You keep your head down. Yeah. You don't answer to no female. Mm-hmm. You don't answer to no man. And if you're working, you only walk up to the car. You look down if a guy is offering you money, then you can make eye contact because you're making the money. There's a transaction taking place. So
that's one of those things that when I did this, I took a free trafficking course through Operation Underground Railroad. One of the things they had talked about to look for is when people do keep their head down, avoid talking, and avoid law enforcement and stuff like that. So that's definitely one of those things you might not even realize by somebody just keeping their head down and not looking at you, that you might see that and think, oh my gosh, maybe there's more to this. So it's definitely one of those things to keep an eye out for. Yeah.
And I mean, with us being a busy society, we tend to not pay attention to things like that. Yeah. But me being that I've gone through it, I know, okay, if something doesn't feel right, look right, or sound right, then it's 9 times out of 10 not right. Yeah. So he told me, he was like, this is where the punch in the gut really impacted me through this whole thing, was when he told me that he was going to take care of me, and that I was going to tell my parents I wasn't coming home.
And in between then, I know you said he had you like kiss his rings or something.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Before he even started talking to me, he made me kiss like every one of his rings. And he was like, now, just so you know, my fist is coming, in contact with your face on a peaceful note. But if you don't come correct with my money, it ain't going to be so peaceful. I guess because what he was trying to do was trying to instill fear in me. And, but somewhere in the back of my head, I could hear the voice in my head like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because he wasn't, he was like shorter than me.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't intimidated.
Well, until
like I should have been, until he asked me a question, and the girl answered again for me.
Yeah.
And he popped her in the face real good. And it wasn't no light, because she's a girl. No, like, he went in on her face like he was knocking a dude out. And so, naturally, there's blood everywhere. And then that's when he had told me, he's like, you see that payphone over there? And this is the important part that we were telling you. That payphone, that broken payphone is what saved my life. Because I didn't say anything to him at the time when he told me to go use the phone to make the call to tell my parents that I wasn't coming home.
And that
I just played along. I said...
And you had a boyfriend that was going to take care of you,
yeah,
right? That's what he said.
Yep. He said, tell your parents you got a boyfriend that's going to take care of you, and you're not coming home. And I literally shit a cinder block. Never mind a brick.
Yeah.
Like, I was literally, like, freaking out, like, oh, my God. This is it. I have no way out. I was literally scared to the point of I didn't know what was going to happen next, what he had in store for me. I know he did mention that he was going to get me ready for that night. So he already had plans to put me out there.
Probably getting your hair done and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's what that woman downstairs was for, to do hair, makeup.
Yeah.
Find something to wear, provocative and stuff like that. So I said, okay, Daddy. So I made my way to the bodega, and he was across the street. And I picked up the phone, and I said, like, I gestured, like, what do you want me to do? The phone's dangling.
Yeah.
So he yelled across the street. He said, go to the next bodega. You have 2 minutes to get to the store, make the call, and then be back at the house. If you're not back in the house in 2 minutes, we're coming for you. Like him and his boys or whatever.
So did he send that? Was the girl
the
still
girl
with you
was
at this
with
point?
me. Yeah. So when I saw him walk away, like he was going towards the house, when he was no longer in my visual, that's when I took off. Now, the girl thought I was running to get to the phone because I only had 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Until I ran past it.
Yeah.
And then she was like, wait, what are you... Meanwhile, she's all messed up in the face.
And who knows what else would happen to her if she comes back without you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. She went back without me because I never went back, clearly, because I'm right here telling you.
Yeah. So did you try to get her to go with you as you were running?
Yes.
Like, where did you run to?
I remember running over a bridge. I remember cars whizzing past me. And I remember I ran down streets that I thought a subway would be. Because I was trying to get on the train to get back to Port Authority so I could catch the bus to go back home. And I came across a firehouse. The girl, she's still running behind me screaming, stop. The adrenaline for me is pumping. I'm tunnel vision. I don't hear her. I just see one way, and that's out of Dodge.
Yeah.
So I come up to a firehouse, and there was like firefighters sitting outside. And I was like, hey, and I'm all out of breath, and I'm like, hey, where's the subway? And they're like, whoa, you okay? And I was like, yeah. So as I was coming up to the firehouse, they stopped me and asked me if I was okay. Well, I actually kind of stopped there to ask for where the subway was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, I'm good. I just got to get my train. I'm about to miss my bus. And I had a legit reason to be running to cover up,
Yeah.
Her, not so much.
Yeah.
She comes up behind me. They stop her because she's, all bloody in the face. And they're like, what's going on? She's like, no, I got to, she's telling them, let me go. Because, they're trying to hold her down. What's going on? Talk.
Yeah.
So finally she got away from them. She finally catches up to me. I'm at the bottom of the stairs. She's at the top. And it was the way she screamed my name that sent a chill down my back. And I was like, she's like, stop. And she's like, Tiffany, stop. And I was like, listen, come with me. Mm-hmm. I have money. I can put you on a bus wherever you want to go. Just come with me. And I know she wanted to go. She just couldn't go. Mm-hmm. She was super scared. She's like, I can't. He'll kill me. He'll find me. He knows where my family lives. He'll kill my family. And then it clicked. Nah, she's just trying to slow me down so they could catch up.
Yeah.
And so that I missed the train. Mm-hmm. So that I was like, look, I got to go. And I never saw her after that. I got to Port Authority. I made sure that I stood next to a Port Authority officer. Mm-hmm. I didn't make any noise. I didn't, make myself look distressed. I made sure that they were in my visual and within earshot if anything were to happen.
Yeah.
And
so how long did you have to wait there for?
Hours. I was so tired. I wanted to sleep, but I couldn't sleep because I was out of fear of what was, plus the adrenaline was still going.
Yeah.
But my bus didn't leave until 6:15 the next morning. And it was maybe 8:30.
Yeah.
Maybe 9 o'clock when I got to Port Authority.
So you just kind of stayed near the officers for a good while.
Yep. And then when I got on the bus, I passed out until I got home. Mm-hmm. And I never told anybody what happened when I got home. I dealt with it all by myself. I remember I couldn't go to church. I felt so gross, so disgusting and dirty, and I felt guilty. And I was like, I wasn't raised to talk the way I talked. I wasn't raised to say the things that came out of my mouth. And
did you feel like your parents would blame you for any of it, or
I after my first rape, I shut down from telling my parents anything because I was blamed for that. Mm-hmm. And then I've always had this feeling that I'm a burden to people. Mm-hmm. So I tend to keep things to myself and process it on my own. Mm-hmm. Which probably wasn't the best thing for me to do, but it did help me become a little bit more resilient and stronger. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for therapy, I don't know what would have happened. Yeah. But
so did you kind of go to therapy right away, or what kind of happened in some of the following years? You've had this trauma and no one knows about it.
Well, what happened that October was I had attempted suicide because of it. Mm-hmm. And I remember waking up in the hospital angry because I was still alive. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be here because I felt like I was worthless. I was trash. And now that I'm older, and I can only imagine how victims today feel once they get over the initial trauma. Mm-hmm. It what I guess, and I might be jumping ahead of the ball here, but one major reason why I tell my story is because I don't want the public to think, oh, well, she put herself in that situation. She wanted it.
Yeah.
She wanted to be a prostitute. She wanted to, her boyfriend is her pimp.
Which I feel like is like the common misconception when I talk to people, because I've told you before, I've watched, different programs on prostitution and all these different things, and to really become aware of it. And I do know that, people tend to have this misconception, they just ran away, they want to make money, or they even think that prostitutes make money. In reality, all the money is going to the pimp, because if you don't give the pimp all your money, he finds out, bad things can happen to you. And so I've had a big empathy towards people in sex work and things like that, because I know deep down that nobody ends up there because that was like their choice, but they're put in jail and they're treated like they're just slutty,
right? They're drug addicts. And let me just put it out there for those who don't know too much about that kind of lifestyle or culture. Any person who's under the age of 18 who is trafficked for sex, 9 times out of 10 did not choose to be in that lifestyle. And the majority of those young girls or boys, because we cannot discriminate against boys because it happens to them too, tend to come from broken homes, foster care, runaways.
Yeah, because it's like someone saying, like, I will take care of you.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that these men and women, because there's women out there too, who see these vulnerable children, they have bullseyes on their back. They go for the child, and it's like they have this sixth sense to find a child in need of love, attention, affection, materialistic things. And with the internet, it makes it super easy because now these kids have Snapchat, Twitter,
they're gaming,
TikTok
online,
now, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, they're out there looking for your kids.
Yep.
I came from a blue-collared background. My parents both had good jobs. I came from we had a house, everything, You would never have imagined that I would have been victimized in that way. Because I don't fit the mold, the social idea of what that person looks like.
Well, and as you can see too, like, people tend to think trafficking is like, okay, if Tiffany was being dragged around with like duct tape over her mouth and screaming and all that and ropes around her wrist, but that's not what it looks like. And usually it seems so seamless and so, because you really didn't know what was going on. You thought you were hanging out with this girl, and then next thing you know, you're at this pimp's house. So there's no way along the way.
And it could go, listen, it doesn't even have to be textbook the way it happened to me. These girls are recruiting girls their age for their pimp.
Yeah.
There have been stories that I've heard of, and these girls will go to school like normal students.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you want to come sleep over at my house this weekend? My mom and dad are going to be out of town, but my older sister's going to be home. And, we can watch movies all night. And she'll talk to your mom.
Yeah.
That whole 9 yards of, I need to talk to your parents before you come.
Yep.
They play it to a T.
Yeah.
And then another thing that bothers me is when people are like, oh, they're drug addicts. You know why they're drug addicts? Because these pimps are pushing drugs down their throat or pumping them through their veins so that they become addicted to the access.
Yeah. And then they know where their fix is coming from.
Exactly.
So they have to go back. They're,
that's how these men are grasping onto them.
Yeah.
Then you have the boyfriend pimp. He's more intimately closer to his girlfriend than, a normal pimp out on the street or whatever. And, naturally she's going to confide in him. Oh, my mom is, she's being a bitch, or, my dad is being a jerk, or, something like that. Any form of vulnerability that he could like lunge into, he's going to. And then what he'll do is he'll buy her stuff. He'll buy her sneakers, he'll buy her clothes, he'll buy her jewelry, he'll buy her, get her nails done, her hair done, or whatever. And then he'll turn it around on her. Oh, well, you remember when I paid for this, right? Well, you owe me.
Yeah. Like,
So there's a guy in the other room, and you're going to screw him to pay back. And they constantly do more and more and more, and it gets more and more expensive.
Yeah.
And then the girl feels indebted to the guy. And then here comes the threats. If you leave me, I'm going to beat you, or I'll do something to your family.
Yep.
And a lot of people, they don't see the depth of what human trafficking consists of. And like we were just saying, it's not just sex trafficking. There's organ harvesting. There's financial bondage.
Yep.
There's
people that promise, oh, you can come work for me, and then all of a sudden it's like they're not working
forced
for money.
labor.
Forced labor.
Forced labor. Yep. There's like you said, now this new thing because of social media.
Like, oh, we have this, like with teens and kids, I heard it's mostly like, we have this inappropriate photo of you, and if you don't do what we say, we're going to blast it all over the internet, which is, terrifying for a kid to think, oh my gosh, my dad's
if my parents
see.
find out, I'm going to be in so much trouble. And anything that has to do with instilling fear, coercion, anything of that matter is, I don't want to say it is a form of trafficking, but when you say trafficking, people think, oh, it's just somebody dragging a body from here to state to
or
state to
kidnapping
yeah. And that's another big thing that really irked me last year when everybody was like, oh, I saw a white van in the parking lot and they were going to they don't say kidnap anymore. Oh, they were going to traffic me. They're human traffickers. No. They're kidnappers.
Yeah.
If they were to succeed in kidnapping.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that the kidnapping is sex trafficking or human trafficking. That very well could be that they were taking you for ransom or something like that. Not to downplay it, because it's serious no matter what. But human trafficking has so many different elements and tones to it that unless you do your research on it, and you're actually willing to learn about it and hear people's stories and ask questions and get involved, then there shouldn't be a lot of the misinformation broadcasted. I see that a lot on social media.
Well, I mean, we know there's people out there that want this misinformation because they're trying to do this and they don't want to be stopped. And so, and to me, what I see, is trafficking. Anytime someone's making money off somebody else when they don't have any say in it, or, they're too young to have any say in it. So I know there was a huge thing with that Cuties movie that came out with Netflix, and I was so angry about it.
Yeah, me too.
And I advocated so much for it, and I know people were arguing with me, but in my opinion, that's trafficking. If a child is very
exploiting.
Young, you're exploiting your child. I mean, you're gaining money. So anytime you're exploiting somebody for money, whether it's through work, sex, anything like that, I feel like that is what trafficking is. So, I mean, trafficking could be done, there's parents trafficking their children right out of their homes.
Familial trafficking, yeah.
So, someone comes in, they pay, they get to have sex with the child. There was even a story I heard recently through Operation Underground Railroad. They actually saved this girl. They saved her when she was, I believe, 4. But her
my God.
Yeah, her parents were trafficking her at 6 months old. So they were a middle-class family, not trash, whatever you would assume, in America. And they were letting people come in, have sex with their, baby for money. And then they were filming it. So when they got caught, they said they thought it was, great because they were getting paid for the videos online, and they were getting paid for the acts happening in their home.
And I'm going to bring something up after you're done. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, trafficking, we're trying to shine a light on this because it's something that people don't even realize how much it's actually happening and what it consists of. And it's not just, for sex, but sometimes it is.
And what it can do to the victim. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here, because to go back to the...
Pause for 1 second.
Just saying.
I'm so bad. We'll go back. Let's listen to it. That's an easy way.
So I'm here because I'm one of the lucky ones. A lot of people are like, oh, no, you're not lucky, you're blessed. Yeah, I am both. But I'm here because I'm utilizing my pain
Yeah.
for a purpose.
Pain for purpose, yeah.
And I'm lucky because some people don't even know what their purpose in life is. And it wasn't brought to my attention until 2011, right before I moved down here.
Okay. And that's when you said you were living in like a quadplex?
Yeah. I was the only tenant in this quadplex.
And where was the the only thing I can't remember is was this in New York or Connecticut or?
I was living in Connecticut, but it had happened in Long Island.
The quadplex.
Well, I lived in the quadplex, yeah, but what had happened where the news came from was from Long Island.
Okay, so you were living in Connecticut in this quadplex. Basically, no one else lived there. You didn't know
Just
anyone
me.
that had lived there.
No. And I was there for about a year before they came.
And so one day...
No, I moved in 2008, so I was there for a while.
Okay.
I was there for a while.
Okay, so you were there for a little while, and then one day, right, some reporters, like, show up at your door.
Yeah. So, it was in the middle of January. It was freezing. It was snowing. And here comes News Channel 8 knocking on my door. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? I didn't,
Yeah.
Because it was just it was only one at a time that came.
Yeah.
They didn't come in droves or anything.
Multiple reporters.
Yeah. So the woman, the reporter, she's interviewing me. She's like, so do you know so-and-so? And I was like, no. She's like, well, this is her last known address. And, we were wondering if you might be a family member of hers, or if you knew her, maybe you could talk with us. And I was like, I really don't know who she is or anybody who lived here before me. And so I said, can I ask what this is about? And she said, you haven't heard on the news? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they found, this woman's body, multiple body parts, along this stretch of beach in Long Island. And I said, what do you mean? She said, the body parts were buried in tarp under the sand or whatever, and in the brush area, whatever. And I was like, what? Well, what had happened was the Craigslist, they call it the Long Island, oh gosh, what is it? There's actually a movie based off of the women.
Was it like the Craigslist Killer or something like that?
Something like that, but it's like Lost Girls or something like that on Netflix, I believe.
Okay.
But the girl who they had found lived in my apartment before I moved in.
Okay.
And years went by, and I reached out to her sister. And I told her sister, look, I will do everything I can being in, and after I talked to you, I went back and talked to her sister. She was basically more voluntarily prostituting.
Okay.
So.
And the thing that stood out to me when you were telling me about this was the moment when they described to you, because they had thought maybe it was her boyfriend, right?
Yeah, they thought, and that he had made the comment of, oh, well, you don't have to go home, I'll take care of you. Like that same spiel.
Yeah.
And
so
I
it was
had
like her last phone call, right, was to her mom. She had a couple kids, right?
And I think what it was she didn't want her mom to know what she was doing.
Yeah.
But
there's
some stories going on off scene that I don't know all the way about.
Gotcha.
So I don't want to put too much
Yeah.
into it if I really don't know the full 100%.
Yeah.
But the sad part about it is that she became a victim.
Yeah.
A girl from the same place that I came from went to the same place that I went to, but I got to walk away. And she was buried on a beach.
Yeah. And she made that same phone call that you were supposed to make.
Yeah.
About I have a boyfriend who's going to take care of me and I'm not coming home.
Yeah.
So all the places you could have lived, the fact that you're from Connecticut, like all these similarities. So at that moment, did you feel like that was kind of like a divine appointment?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why in 2014, I was here in South Carolina, and I was working at the airport, and one of my coworkers and I was talking about going back to school. And she's like, if you could go back to school, would you want to study? And I was like, well, I want to get like maybe be a police officer or maybe be like a counselor for victims of and I didn't even say human trafficking. It was like victims of prostitution, I think I said was the term that I used. And she's like, oh, so you want to help women and young girls who are victims of prostitution? And I was like, yeah. Well, that's kind of what got the ball rolling in my head as far as doing something about it. Because in the back of my head, from 20 years ago, I still think about that girl. I still wonder if she, you know, what happened to her, where she is, if she's still even alive.
Yeah, I would definitely think about that too.
But I use her as the forefront to help the other girls that want to get out, that didn't ask for it like I did, that are scared.
Yeah.
And I the way that I had it in my mind was, okay, and that's where Lost Voices came to my head. I started a group on Facebook in 2014 called Lost Voices, #Help Me Help Them. I became an advocate with Shared Hope International. They're also like the
OUR.
OUR. Yeah. But they're more on an international level.
Yeah. Actually, OUR is too.
Oh, okay.
They're in all different countries. Because Tim Ballard, the guy who founded OUR, he's actually ex-CIA, FBI, and he goes everywhere, and they break in and they break up trafficking rings and arrest people. And so they've actually rescued over 4,000 so far.
Awesome.
Children and women, and Tim Ballard has actually adopted a couple of those children with his wife.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I thought at first, same thing, but then when I started looking at their stories, they've actually been in other countries and things like that.
Oh, yeah, it's big internationally.
Yeah.
It's huge
it's just
internationally.
that America, like, we're the destination, is what he said. So we are the #1 consumer and producer of child pornography, and we are considered,
And that's what I was going to get to in a minute. Yeah.
So we're considered the destination for trafficking. So people want to come here and traffic people here. I don't know if it's because of the amount of money we have or how easy it is.
They do they want to bring the international in, just like, because you know it's harder for a grown man to find a child for sex here in the U.S. because morally we know it's wrong.
Yeah.
But other countries, like in the Caribbean, if you go to the Dominican Republic, they actually have, men will come to the Dominican Republic because there's no kind of, there's nothing informed.
It's like no laws.
No law or anything to keep, because money talks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you go to these third world countries, these poor countries, if you show them a dollar bill, you get whatever you want.
Yeah.
Not a dollar bill, but you know what I'm saying. If you show a good amount of money, you'll get whatever you want.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Parents don't think about selling, think nothing about selling their children in
And
some of the
that
places.
there was a story I read, and this is kind of what got my ball rolling for Lost Voices. It was a 12-year-old little girl from somewhere in Far East Asia. I want to say Thailand maybe. And her parents were very poor.
Yep.
And this man came to their home and said, we'll take her and we're going to bring her to the States.
Yep.
And she's going to clean people's houses.
Oh yeah, they paint this picture. Well, make sure she gets money and
Right.
It's kind of like we're going to give her the life in America because everybody sees America as like, oh gosh, the American dream, and we can.
She ended up on the red light district. Wherever there's a red light district.
Yep.
And this poor girl contracted hepatitis A and B, numerous STDs. Due to the hepatitis, her body started shutting down. She became very ill, very sick, and really of no use.
Yeah.
And what her traffickers did was, while she was still alive, and this is going to sound real, so anybody who, I apologize, it's just the reality of it, wrapped her in plastic and chains and tied her to a cinder block with the chains and threw her over in the ocean while she was still alive.
Yeah. Just
12
no
years
value,
old.
No value of, human life.
if you're not making money to these traffickers, then you're easily disposable. And what I want to do is I want these, like, domestically, what I can do is help young girls realize their worth early so that they don't feel inclined to talk to a man about their problems unless he's like a certified doctor.
Or Jesus.
Or Jesus. There you go. But I want them to know they're beautiful. They're princesses in training to become the queens of tomorrow. You know, a lot of enlightenment, empowerment, motivation. You like to dance? Then guess what? You're going to be on America's Next Top. You know?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And we have to teach that, because I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm not trying to put down Disney or anything, so don't come at me, people. But think about what we're taught as young girls, you know, Disney movies, you know, these people are, most of them anyway, you know, you see a damsel in distress, right? Mom sucks, dad's not there, whatever. And
Knight in shining armor.
Here comes the prince. You know, it's never like, the woman is never like bold and she gets out on her own and, right, she's independent and gets a career. It's like, my prince is coming, he's going to take me away. And so, like I said, I'm not necessarily coming at Disney, but that's just an example of what girls are shown. It
the
comes
tone
in
that
many
has been
forms.
set
The
from
tone's
childhood.
been set.
Yeah.
So, you know, and girls aren't looking to God for their worth, and they're not seeing their worth, you know, in who they are. They're seeing in who likes them, how many likes they have on, you know, Instagram. And, you know, they're looking sometimes for that, you know, knight in shining armor just to take them away and make things better, instead of learning that they can make things better on their own.
Absolutely.
Just like you have, just, you know, I have some different situations I've been in. And so, like you said, I think it is important for us to show younger girls, like, hey, your value is not like, you know, being pretty. Or,
yeah, it's not how, you know, it's not your hair being done. It's not your nails being done. It's not wearing the latest trends.
Yeah, that should be stuff, if you do it, it's because you feel your best. You know, if I get my hair and my nails done, it makes me feel my best, but it's not like, oh gosh, if I don't do this,
It's
maybe
not an
someone
end
won't
all
like
be all
me.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have to have my nails done so people will validate my beauty. No, it especially at such a young age, when girls are so easily impressionable, that's the key time to do it. And not wait until they become teens and, you know, social media, like, just...
And even with boys, too, you know, boys that it's like, they don't feel like they're impressing their dad enough. So then some guy comes up to them and, hey, man, like, you can hang with us. And then they feel cool.
that's a way of recruitment, too.
Yeah. Almost, in a sense, recruiting, you know, pimps and things like that, too. Because there's got to be a way, you know, those guys end up that way. The normal guy doesn't just go out and decide, I'm going to be a pimp.
Yeah, and I think
You know?
I think the pimp mentality comes a lot from, you know, having to prove a point, ego, pride.
People
you know,
respect me. That's a whole word I always
power.
say, respect.
It's always about power. I mean, if we really look at it, that's what it is. It has to deal with having control over another human being for the benefit of themselves.
Yeah.
So if we can change the narrative for both boys, girls, men, and women, we might have a chance.
Yeah.
You know, but we have to have people who want to see the change happen.
And want to be informed, because the whole thought that this is, you know, trafficking is I've heard it all. It's a conspiracy theory. It's not happening that much. It only happens in other countries, not in America. We need to like there's certain things I know you don't want to see. Like, we don't want to see these bad things, but we know bad things happen, and just because we look away doesn't mean they're not happening. So basically, what have you done so far? I know you've told me some of the things you've done to aid in the fight against human trafficking. So what have you kind of done so far, and what future plans do you have to kind of continue in what you've been doing, aside from, you know, stuff like this with me? Kind of what is your vision?
So far, what I've done is I was a member of the Tri-County Human Trafficking Task Force. And I did, I think, like 2 meetings with the Richland County Human Trafficking Task Force as well. I took it upon myself to get the human trafficking hotline posters and to post them up at the rest areas up and down I-26 from Charleston to Columbia, and I believe I did a few from Hilton Head to Columbia as well.
And I've been bragging on you. I'm like, yeah, you know all them posters? Like, that's her.
And
So
and
cool.
I had my own roll of tape, my posters, and I
Yeah.
went into truck stops, in the restrooms, hotels. I did. It was a group of us. We did a lot of the hotels in the area, and by law, it has to be posted in your travel areas, bus stops,
Yep.
train stations, airports,
Truck stops.
truck stops, hotels.
Yep.
And a lot of hotels will kind of be like, no, it's against our, Well, guess what? States here, state statute states, you have to have a poster. Now, where you want to put it is up to you, but you have to have it up in public view.
That's awesome.
So I've done that. My group on Facebook,
Yep.
which is the longest running thing for me,
Yep.
pertaining to the topic. I've done numerous interviews. I will now, as far as what my plans are to do with more of it, I have a video that I'm working on to bring awareness. It's more of like it has a music element. There's really there's no words.
Okay.
Like there's acting.
Yeah, so kind of like a reenactment, but without dialogue.
Yeah, it's like a music video without the lyrics.
Yeah. Okay.
But the visual is very impactful. It's very powerful, and the message is very clear.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to. I know we talked about possibly doing some work with that together because I have a lot of really awesome connections, including our guy who's filming this right now, Scott Fowler. But yeah, I'm excited to try to, I want to help in whatever I can. And I know when we first talked and you had felt kind of discouraged because somebody else had kind of seemed like they kind of scooted in your place with what you had been doing. And so I was like, we got to make, we're not going to let your
And that's the thing.
pain
I
go
don't
away.
easily give up. I might have taken a little hiatus to kind of, gain my thoughts, but that's not going to stop me from being an advocate. That's not going to stop me from telling my story. And just because they don't want to hear my story anymore doesn't mean that I have to shut up and I can't tell it somewhere else like I am right now.
And we all want to hear your story. It's an amazing story.
So, and there's more to come because I am writing a book, and this will be part of the book. It's not going to be the whole thing of the book. It's basically just a memoir of all of the traumatic events that I have gone through in my life. And between this and the book, I plan on utilizing that alone as a platform to become a motivational speaker.
Yes, girl.
So that's my end goal. I want to be a motivational speaker because I believe everybody has it in them to succeed and win and be great and all of these things.
And we don't want to waste, the things that have happened to us. You can either take them and feel sorry for yourself, or you can take them and you can help people.
I can't let people feel sorry for themselves. Not around me. Nope, we're not doing that. We're not throwing pity parties.
So what are some of the ways you think people can help, and some things that they should be aware of when it comes to human trafficking? Like, what do you advise people,
If you suspect human trafficking, and I'll get the phone number for you so when we do the editing part, you guys can put it up on the screen, the human trafficking hotline, and I also have the state hotline number, which I'll have to dig for.
Okay.
But I'll definitely let you know if we can still use it, because I don't know if law enforcement might have switched up how they do things with that.
Yeah.
But for sure, the National Human Trafficking Hotline number, educate yourselves.
Yeah.
If you have questions, I will leave my email. Y'all can email me any questions you might have, ideas, suggestions on what we can do to bring more information to our communities in our state, in our country.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend, if you go to ourrescue.org, O-U-R, if you click on menu, there's a little drop down. It says get trained. It's literally free. It's just some videos, and then you answer some questions, like a little quiz, and it will explain to you, what you can look for as signs of human trafficking, what you should do, because you, of course, want to keep yourself safe. You don't want to just go barge over there and try to,
Yeah, absolutely.
steal
Leave it up to
someone
law
away.
enforcement because that's what they've been trained to
Yeah.
do and handle.
Yeah.
And you don't want to interfere and possibly put a child, teen, or a woman or boy or man in harm because you're trying to do the right thing. There's
Yeah.
protocols that we have to abide by and state laws that we have to follow through, because at the end of the day, there will be a time when the court system will get involved.
Yep.
And if we interfere with the judicial process, then it's possible that the person who should be going to jail could
Yeah.
get away with it because we're not trained in that.
And then they're just going to want to go hurt whoever the
Yeah.
situation consisted of.
Yeah.
And so, but I think, for Uber drivers, especially people that are working with public, just to know what to look for, like we talked about, the looking down and that kind of thing. And you'll see more when you go onto the videos, but I highly recommend it. They give you a digital certificate. I literally just screenshotted mine, but it's like just a free thing you can do. Maybe it takes an hour of your time. It's almost like taking a CPR class. you
Yeah,
know?
and that's what I was doing with Shared Hope International. I was an ambassador of hope. That's what it was called.
Awesome.
So I did the same thing
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah, perfect. So what do you want people to kind of take most from this interview and most from your story?
I think what I want people to take the most, or to take away from my story, is that I didn't let something take me away, if that makes any sense.
Like your identity.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the initial story, being left out with other agencies. I'm
Yeah.
still here.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand that you have it in you to survive anything. You have to dig deep inside of you to find it. And I'm glad that I made it through,
I'm glad too.
but I'm also sad for the girls that didn't.
Yeah. I totally
And there's a
understand.
lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I don't know the numbers, but there is a lot.
Yeah.
And I do this for them.
Yeah.
I do this in memory of them. And I don't want anybody else to be lost. That's why I named the group Lost Voices, because most of the time people they can't use their voice.
Yeah.
So allow me to be the voice for you.
Absolutely.
So
Which is so awesome.
I want to be everybody's big sister,
Yeah.
auntie, little ones. I'll be godmom or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any mom's place or anything, but if I have my daughter's friends look at me like, oh, hey mom, and I'm like, hey daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause we're
Um,
all sisters and brothers and daughters and sons.
Right.
and-
So, but I take this very serious. I am very passionate about this, and I'm constantly keeping my mind going. I'm always researching, getting more inclined with the new way of how these pimps are doing things, or traffickers. And I just want to abolish human trafficking altogether.
Yeah. Me too, girl.
And if I can save one person, then I've done my job.
Absolutely. And so, definitely, we want people to share this. This will be, all over social media. Feel free to share with your friends, get informed, do everything you can to at least just, even if it's just asking one question, we may not all be able to save one person, but you may just be in a position one day to see something, and just by watching this or asking a question, you now have that knowledge that you know what to do in a crisis
And never
situation.
think if you do say something and it follows through where you played a part in saving that person.
Yeah.
So I'm sure one of my posters has had an impact on somebody.
I'm sure it has. Yeah,
So,
definitely.
and I'm sure maybe this podcast you and I partnered with could have saved somebody.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me.
yes,
And
we beat it before it got too dark.
I know. This is golden hour.
It's
No.
still pretty.
We're still cute. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
It was great doing
Thank
this.
you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.